Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Let me ask you something. How many of you have ever felt stuck? Like you're giving your best effort, but life keeps handing you closed doors? Maybe it's in your career, your relationships, your dreams, or even your health. You're praying, you're working, you. Patience in uncertainty is one of the most challenging yet rewarding virtues to cultivate. In a world that thrives on instant gratification, waiting feels like a punishment. But life often demands that we endure seasons of stillness, where nothing seems to be moving forward, and we're left wondering if our prayers are even being heard. These moments of waiting, however, are not void of purpose. They are part of a divine process, where God works in silence to shape something extraordinary, far beyond what we can imagine. When we find ourselves in a season of uncertainty, it's natural to question what's happening. We wonder why things aren't falling into place or why the answers we seek seem so far away. But God's timing is not ours. He operates on a divine clock that we cannot fully understand, and his ways are often hidden from our sight. Just because you cannot see movement does not mean nothing is happening. Seeds grow underground before they sprout into the light. And the same is true of the plans God has for your life. The silent work beneath the surface is often the most critical part of the process. In moments of uncertainty, impatience can creep in and make us feel like we need to take control. We think that if we work harder, push more, or try to force outcomes, we can speed things up. But this often leads to frustration and exhaustion. The truth is, some things are simply beyond our control. That's where patience comes in, not as a passive state, but as an active trust in God's plan. It's a surrender, a way of saying, I trust you, even when I don't understand. I believe you're working, even when I can't see it. Patience is not just about waiting, it's about how we wait. Are we waiting in fear and doubt, or are we waiting in faith and expectation? The way we wait can determine how we experience the process. When we trust God's timing, we allow ourselves to find peace, even in the midst of uncertainty. We stop trying to rush the process and start appreciating the lessons and growth that come during the wait. These are the moments when our faith is tested and refined. It's easy to trust when everything is going well, but true faith is built in the moments of silence when it feels like nothing is happening. Think about how a symphony is composed. Before the music begins, there is a moment of silence. That silence is not empty, it is charged with anticipation, preparing the audience for what's to come. In the same way, God uses the silence in our lives to prepare us for the beauty and grandeur of what He is about to orchestrate. He is aligning the right circumstances, the right people, and the right opportunities to bring His plan for you to fruition. If we rush through the silence, we risk missing the masterpiece He is creating. Sometimes the wait feels unbearable because we don't see the bigger picture. But just like an artist painting on a canvas, the strokes may not make sense up close. It's only when you step back that you can see how each stroke contributes to the whole picture. In the same way, God's work in our lives often doesn't make sense in the moment. But when we look back, we can see how every delay, every setback, and every closed door led us to something greater. Patience also teaches us humility. It reminds us that we are not the authors of our own stories. While we have a role to play, the ultimate plan belongs to God. Acknowledging this can be freeing because it takes the weight of the world off our shoulders. We don't have to figure everything out or make things happen on our own. We can rest in the assurance that God is working all things together for our good, even when we can't see the full picture. There are countless stories of people who waited patiently through seasons of uncertainty, only to experience breakthroughs they could never have imagined. Their patience allowed God to work without interference, and the results were far greater than anything they could have orchestrated on their own. These stories remind us that the wait is not in vain. God's timing is perfect, and His surprises are worth every moment of uncertainty. In the end, patience in uncertainty is about trust. It's about believing that the silence is not a sign of absence, but a sign of preparation. God is working even when we don't feel it. He is moving even when we can't see it. And when the time is right, He will reveal what He has been preparing for us. Until then, we must hold on to faith, embrace the process, and trust that the wait will be worth it. Because when God moves, He moves in ways that far exceed anything we could hope for or imagine. Faith beyond sight is one of the most profound aspects of our spiritual journey. It requires believing in something you cannot see, trusting in something you cannot touch, and holding on to hope when circumstances give you every reason to doubt. It's not easy, but it's essential. Faith is the bridge between where you are and where you are meant to be, and often that bridge is shrouded in fog. You can't see the other side, but you must trust it's there. Life has a way of challenging our faith, especially when we're in the middle of a struggle. You pray, you work hard, you do everything right, yet the results don't seem to show up. Doors remain closed, opportunities pass you by, and you start to wonder if all your efforts are in vain. But this is where true faith comes in, not when everything is clear and certain, but when nothing makes sense. Faith is believing that God is working behind the scenes, orchestrating something greater than you can imagine, even when there's no evidence to support it yet. Imagine planting a seed in the ground. After you've covered it with soil, there's no immediate sign of growth. Days, weeks, or even months can pass without any visible change. But beneath the surface, in the darkness where no one can see, something miraculous is happening. Roots are spreading, foundations are forming, and life is beginning to take shape. The same is true in our lives. Just because you can't see the progress doesn't mean it isn't happening. Faith allows you to trust in the unseen, to believe that the work being done in silence will eventually bear fruit. The challenge, however, lies in our human tendency to rely on what we can see and measure. We live in a results-driven world, where progress is often equated with visible achievements. If we don't see immediate results, we're tempted to believe that nothing is happening. But God's ways are not our ways. His work often happens in the quiet, in the stillness, and in the places we're not looking. Faith is the ability to surrender to this process, to let go of the need for constant validation, and to trust that what's unseen is more powerful than what's visible. Faith beyond sight also requires us to let go of control. We like to have a plan, a roadmap, and a clear understanding of how things will unfold. But faith asks us to take a step forward without knowing where the path will lead. It's like walking in the dark with nothing but a small candle to guide you. You may not see the entire journey, but you can see the next step. And sometimes that's all you need. Trusting God means understanding that you don't have to know everything. You just need to follow where He's leading you, one step at a time. Another powerful aspect of faith is its ability to transform your perspective. When you trust that God is working behind the scenes, you stop focusing solely on what's missing and start appreciating what's already there. You begin to see every delay, every challenge, and every obstacle as part of a bigger picture. Faith shifts your mindset from fear to hope, from frustration to patience, and from doubt to belief. It reminds you that God is not limited by your circumstances. He can open doors that no one else can, move mountains that seem immovable, and create opportunities where none existed. Sometimes God's silent work in our lives is not just about preparing the blessing, but about preparing us to receive it. We often pray for things we're not yet ready for. Faith beyond sight means trusting that the delays and detours are part of our growth. They are refining us, shaping us, and strengthening us for what's to come. A blessing given too soon can become a burden, but a blessing given at the right time becomes a gift that aligns perfectly with God's purpose for your life. Faith is also a source of peace. When you trust in the unseen, you stop being consumed by the anxiety of trying to control everything. You learn to rest in the knowledge that God is in charge. This doesn't mean you stop working or striving. It means you stop worrying. You can move forward with confidence, knowing that even when things don't go according to your plan, they're still going according to God's plan. In the end, faith beyond sight is about hope. It's about believing that the story isn't over, even when you're in the darkest chapter. It's about trusting that God is not finished with you, even when everything feels like it's falling apart. It's about holding on to the promise that He is working all things together for your good, even when you can't see how. Faith doesn't promise that the journey will be easy, but it does promise that it will be worth it. So when life challenges you to believe in the unseen, embrace it as an opportunity to deepen your faith. Remember that the greatest miracles often happen in silence. The most profound transformations occur in the unseen, and the most beautiful blessings take time to unfold. Trust that God is working, even when you can't see it. And when the time is right, what was once hidden will be revealed in ways that exceed your greatest hopes and dreams. The power of preparation is one of the most overlooked yet essential principles of life. Often, when we're waiting for something, a breakthrough, an answered prayer, or an opportunity, it can feel like wasted time. We become frustrated, thinking nothing is happening. But what if I told you the waiting period is not just about the outcome you're hoping for? It's about preparing you to handle it. It's about refining you, shaping your character, and strengthening your foundation so that when the blessing comes, you'll be ready to receive it and sustain it. Preparation is not always glamorous. In fact, it can feel mundane, repetitive, and even discouraging at times. Think of an athlete training for a championship. Day after day, they practice drills, build endurance, and fine-tune their skills. For much of that time, there's no audience, no applause, and no recognition. But without that preparation, they wouldn't be able to rise to the occasion when the big moment arrives. The same is true for us. God often uses the waiting period to prepare us for the weight of the blessings He has planned for us. Many times we focus so much on the destination that we lose sight of the journey. We're eager to get to the finish line, but we don't always realize that the process is just as important as the result. The challenges, lessons, and experiences we go through along the way are not distractions, they're essential steps in our preparation. Every struggle teaches us resilience. Every setback teaches us patience. Every delay teaches us trust. These are the qualities that will sustain us when we finally reach our goals. Imagine being handed a significant opportunity or blessing before you're ready for it. It might feel exciting at first, but without the preparation to handle it, you could easily lose it or be overwhelmed by it. God knows this, which is why He often withholds certain blessings until we've grown into the person who can parse and embrace them. He's not denying us, He's developing us. He's making sure that when the time comes, we won't just have the blessing, we'll have the wisdom, maturity, and strength to steward it well. Preparation is also about trust. It's about trusting that even when things feel stagnant, progress is being made. Just because you don't see immediate results doesn't mean the preparation isn't happening. Think of a construction site for a towering building. The initial stages often involve digging deep into the ground to lay a strong foundation. To the casual observer, it might look like nothing significant is happening, but without that deep foundation, the building would collapse. In the same way, God is often working on our foundations during seasons of waiting. He's strengthening our faith, deepening our character, and equipping us with the tools we'll need for the next chapter. One of the most powerful aspects of preparation is that it teaches us discipline. It's easy to stay motivated when you're seeing immediate progress, but true discipline is about showing up and putting in the work, even when there's no visible reward. It's about trusting the process and being faithful with what you have now, knowing that it's all part of a bigger plan. The habits you develop during the preparation phase will carry you through when the stakes are higher. They'll become the foundation for your success. Preparation also gives us clarity. In the stillness and quiet of the waiting period, we have the opportunity to reflect, learn, and grow. We begin to understand more about who we are, what we're capable of, and what truly matters to us. This self-awareness is invaluable. It allows us to step into our purpose with confidence and conviction when the time comes. It also helps us recognize opportunities when they arise, because we've taken the time to prepare and align ourselves with God's plan. Another important aspect of preparation is humility. Waiting reminds us that we're not in control, and that's okay. It teaches us to rely on God rather than our own efforts. This doesn't mean we stop working or striving. It means we acknowledge that our strength alone isn't enough. It's about partnering with God, allowing Him to guide our steps, and trusting that His timing is perfect. Humility also allows us to embrace the lessons we learn along the way, even when they're difficult. It reminds us that every experience, no matter how challenging, is an opportunity for growth. Preparation is not just about you. It's about the impact you're going to have on others. When you're ready to step into your purpose, you'll be equipped to serve, inspire, and uplift those around you. Your story of perseverance and preparation will become a testimony that encourages others to keep going in their own journeys. God's work in your life is never just for you, it's part of a larger tapestry that connects us all. So the next time you find yourself in a season of waiting, don't despair. Recognize it for what it is, a season of preparation. Trust that the work being done in you and around you is laying the foundation for something extraordinary. Embrace the process even when it's uncomfortable. Show up every day with faith, discipline, and gratitude, knowing that God is preparing you for something greater than you can imagine. And when the time comes, you'll look back and see that every moment of preparation was worth it. You'll realize that the waiting wasn't a delay, it was a gift. Gratitude in the waiting is one of the most transformative practices you can cultivate during life's uncertain seasons. When you're waiting for a breakthrough, a blessing, or a resolution to a challenge, it's easy to let frustration, impatience, or doubt take over. But choosing gratitude in those moments shifts your perspective and changes how you experience the waiting. It doesn't mean you're ignoring the challenges or pretending the waiting isn't hard. It means you're intentionally choosing to focus on what you do have instead of what you're still waiting for. Gratitude transforms waiting into a time of growth, reflection, and preparation. Waiting often feels like being stuck in limbo. You're working hard, praying, and doing everything you know how to do, but the results seem far away. In that space, it's natural to feel discouraged or even defeated. But gratitude acts as a counterweight to those emotions. It redirects your focus away from what's missing and helps you see the blessings already present in your life. It reminds you that, even in the waiting, there are things to celebrate, things that affirm God's faithfulness and goodness. Gratitude in waiting doesn't just change your perspective, it strengthens your faith. When you thank God for what He has already done, it builds your confidence in what He's going to do. It reminds you that the same God who has brought you this far is still working on your behalf. Reflecting on past victories and blessings anchors your hope. It's easy to forget how many prayers have already been answered when you're focused on the ones that haven't. Gratitude shifts that focus and reminds you of all the ways God has already shown up in your life. One of the most powerful aspects of gratitude is its ability to create peace in the midst of uncertainty. Waiting can feel like a storm, with doubt and anxiety swirling around you. Gratitude acts as a calm center, grounding you and helping you find stillness. It allows you to rest in the assurance that, while you may not have everything you want right now, you have enough for today. This doesn't mean you stop hoping or working toward the future. It means you learn to appreciate the present moment and the small victories along the way. Gratitude also opens your eyes to the hidden blessings in your waiting season. Sometimes the things we take for granted are the very things that sustain us. A supportive friend, good health, a place to call home. These are gifts we often overlook because we're focused on what we lack. But when you practice gratitude, you begin to see these gifts for what they are, reminders that you are not forgotten, even in the waiting. You start to notice the small signs of progress, the little moments of joy, and the unexpected kindnesses that make the journey bearable. Practicing gratitude in the waiting doesn't mean ignoring the hard parts of life. It's not about pretending that the challenges don't exist or suppressing your emotions. It's about acknowledging those feelings while still choosing to focus on the good. Gratitude doesn't erase the difficulties, but it gives you the strength to endure them. It reminds you that there's light, even in the darkest seasons, and that the waiting won't last forever. Gratitude also helps you see the purpose in the process. When you're waiting for something, it's easy to feel like time is being wasted. But waiting is rarely wasted time in God's plan. It's a season of preparation, growth, and transformation. Gratitude helps you embrace this process rather than resist it. When you're thankful for the lessons you're learning and the person you're becoming, the waiting no longer feels like a punishment, it feels like a gift. Another beautiful thing about gratitude is that it's contagious. When you practice gratitude in the waiting, you inspire others to do the same. Your ability to find joy and thankfulness in difficult circumstances becomes a testimony that encourages those around you. People see your faith and perseverance, and it gives them hope for their own situations. Gratitude doesn't just uplift you, it uplifts everyone it touches. To cultivate gratitude in the waiting, start with small, intentional practices. Take a few moments each day to list the things you're thankful for. They don't have to be grand or life-changing. Sometimes the smallest blessings mean the most. Maybe it's the laughter of a loved one, the warmth of the sun on your face, or the strength to face another day. As you make gratitude a habit, you'll find that it becomes easier to see the good, even in the midst of challenges. Prayer is another powerful way to practice gratitude. Instead of only bringing your requests to God, take time to thank Him for what He's already done. Thank him for the ways he's provided, protected, and guided you. Thank him for the lessons you're learning and for the blessings you know are on the way. Gratitude in prayer shifts your mindset from "why isn't this happening?" to "I trust that it will happen in your perfect timing." In the end, gratitude in the waiting is about perspective. It's about choosing to see the good, even when the outcome is still uncertain. It's about trusting that every moment of waiting has a purpose and that God is using this time to prepare you for something greater. Gratitude doesn't change your circumstances, but it changes you. It helps you find joy, peace, and hope in the midst of the process. And when the waiting is over and the blessing finally arrives, you'll appreciate it even more because you've learned to value the journey that brought you there. Embracing God's timing is one of the most profound and challenging lessons we encounter in life. We live in a world that prizes speed and efficiency, where immediate results are often expected. However, God's timeline operates on a different plane entirely. His timing is not dictated by our urgency, desires, or deadlines. Instead, it is driven by his perfect wisdom, which takes into account things we can't see or comprehend. Learning to trust in that timing requires patience, faith, and a deep understanding that what we may perceive as delays are often divine orchestrations designed to prepare us for what's ahead. At times, the waiting can feel unbearable. You pray, you plan, you work hard, and yet things don't seem to fall into place. You wonder why God is silent or why doors remain closed. It's in these moments that trusting his timing becomes both a test and a blessing. Trusting his timing means acknowledging that while you may not understand why things are unfolding as they are, you believe he is working for your good. It means letting go of your need to control and surrendering to his greater plan, even when it's unclear. One of the most important lessons about God's timing is that it is intentional. There is no randomness in how he operates. Every moment of waiting, every apparent detour, and every perceived delay is part of a larger picture. Often we're so focused on the outcome we desire that we miss the beauty of what God is doing in the present. His timing ensures not only that you receive what you're meant to have, but that you receive it at the right moment when it will have the greatest impact on your life and align perfectly with his purpose for you. Imagine trying to pick fruit before it's ripe. It may look ready on the outside, but if the timing isn't right, the fruit won't be sweet or satisfying. Similarly, blessings given prematurely may not yield the joy, fulfillment, or growth they're meant to bring. Trusting God's timing means understanding that he knows the perfect moment for every blessing to come into your life. He doesn't withhold good things from you. Instead, he ensures they come at the time when they'll be most meaningful and sustainable. God's timing also protects us in ways we might not realize until later. There are situations where what seems like a delay is actually divine protection. Perhaps there's a danger you're unaware of, or maybe there's something better waiting just around the corner. When we rush ahead of God's plan, we often find ourselves overwhelmed, unprepared, or facing challenges we weren't equipped to handle. Trusting his timing is an act of faith that acknowledges he sees the bigger picture and knows what is best for us in every situation. Another powerful aspect of God's timing is how it teaches us patience. Patience is not simply about waiting, it's about how we wait. It's about developing the ability to endure delays with grace, hope, and faith. Patience allows us to grow spiritually, emotionally, and mentally during seasons of waiting. It refines our character, strengthens our resolve, and deepens our relationship with God. Each moment of waiting becomes an opportunity to trust him more fully and to rely on his wisdom rather than our own understanding. While waiting for God's timing, it's crucial to remain active and engaged. Trusting his timing doesn't mean sitting idly by, waiting for everything to fall into place. It means being faithful in the small things, staying diligent in your work, and preparing yourself for what's to come. Just as a farmer tends the soil and waters the seeds, while waiting for the harvest, we must continue to cultivate our lives, knowing that the season of growth will lead to a season of abundance. One of the hardest parts of trusting God's timing is resisting the urge to compare your journey to others. It's natural to look at someone else's life and wonder why their breakthrough came sooner, why their blessings seem to arrive effortlessly, or why they're not facing the same challenges you are. But comparison only breeds discontentment and doubt. Each person's path is uniquely designed by God, and his timing for you is tailored to your specific journey. What's meant for you will come when the time is right. and no one else's progress can diminish your own. God's timing also reminds us of the importance of perseverance. There are moments when waiting feels like an endless struggle, but perseverance keeps us moving forward. It keeps us grounded in faith even when the results are not immediate. Perseverance builds character, resilience, and a deeper reliance on God. It teaches us to keep praying, keep hoping, and keep trusting, even when the path ahead seems uncertain. Perhaps the most beautiful thing about God's timing is that when the moment finally arrives, it often surpasses anything we could have imagined. His timing brings not just what we hope for, but what we truly need. It aligns our desires with His purpose, ensuring that the blessings we receive are not only fulfilling, but also transformative. When you look back on the seasons of waiting, you'll realize that His timing was perfect all along. You'll see how each delay, detour, and challenge prepared you for the blessings that came at just the right time. Trusting God's timing is not easy, but it is worth it. It requires surrender, patience, and faith, but it also brings peace, growth, and the assurance that your life is unfolding according to a plan far greater than your own. So when you find yourself in a season of waiting, remember that God is never late. He is always on time, and His timing is always perfect. The unexpected blessings that God has in store for us often exceed anything we could ever anticipate or imagine. Life has a way of surprising us, especially when we least expect it, and this is no accident. When we faithfully walk through seasons of uncertainty, setbacks, or waiting, God often reveals His plans in ways that leave us in awe. These moments remind us of His unmatched wisdom, His intricate planning, and His deep love for us. Unexpected blessings are not random occurrences, they are divine gifts that reveal the richness of God's grace and the depth of His purpose in our lives. One of the reasons God's blessings often catch us off guard is that they come in forms we might not have been looking for. Sometimes we're so focused on one specific outcome or path that we overlook the greater things God is orchestrating behind the scenes. His blessings may come through closed doors that redirect us to better opportunities, through people we didn't expect to meet, or through challenges that strengthen us in ways we couldn't foresee. These surprises remind us that God's ways are higher than ours, and His plans are far greater than what we could ever construct on our own. Consider how often unexpected blessings arise from situations that initially seem like setbacks or disappointments. You might lose a job, only to find that it leads you to a career you're more passionate about. You might experience a relationship ending, only to discover that it clears the way for deeper connections and growth. These moments, though painful in the present, often pave the way for God's greater purpose to unfold. They challenge us to trust that even in the darkest seasons, He is working for our good, often in ways we can't yet see. Unexpected blessings also reveal the importance of staying faithful in the small, everyday moments of life. It's easy to overlook the significance of what feels ordinary, but God often uses these moments to prepare us for extraordinary outcomes. A simple act of kindness, a step of obedience, or a prayer whispered in faith can set the stage for blessings you never anticipated. The seeds you sow in faithfulness today often bear fruit in ways you couldn't have predicted tomorrow. God delights in taking the seemingly insignificant and turning it into something extraordinary. When blessings come unexpectedly, they also remind us of the power of God's grace. We don't earn or deserve His blessings, they are gifts freely given because of His love for us. These moments teach us to rely on His goodness rather than our own efforts. They remind us that no matter how hard we work, how well we plan, or how much we strive, it's ultimately God who brings about the breakthroughs, opportunities, and opportunities in our lives. Unexpected blessings are a testament to His ability to do immeasurably more than we could ask or imagine. Another profound aspect of unexpected blessings is their ability to deepen our gratitude. When a blessing arrives that we weren't anticipating, it often catches us at a time when we've been feeling discouraged, weary, or overlooked. These surprises remind us that God hasn't forgotten us, even when it feels like nothing is happening. They fill us with a sense of awe and wonder at His perfect timing and provision. Gratitude becomes a natural response, not just for the blessing itself, but for the reminder of God's constant care and presence in our lives. Unexpected blessings also challenge us to expand our faith. They encourage us to dream bigger, hope more fervently, and trust more deeply. When God exceeds our expectations, it reminds us that we've only scratched the surface of His power and goodness. These moments encourage us to believe that He can and will do even greater things in the future. They help us let go of the limitations we place on ourselves and on God, opening our hearts and minds to the infinite possibilities of His plans. Moreover, unexpected blessings often serve as a catalyst for transformation. They don't just change our circumstances, they change us. They shift our perspective, deepen our trust, and renew our sense of purpose. When God blesses us in ways we didn't anticipate, it often prompts us to reflect on the journey that brought us there. We begin to see how every twist, turn, and delay was part of a greater story. These blessings remind us that nothing in our lives is wasted, and everything has a purpose in God's plan. Another beautiful thing about unexpected blessings is how they inspire us to bless others. When you've experienced God's goodness in a way that leaves you speechless, it creates a desire to share that goodness with others. It prompts you to extend kindness, generosity, and encouragement to those around you. God's blessings are never meant to stop with us. They are meant to flow through us. By sharing what we've been given, we become part of the ripple effect of His grace in the world. Finally, unexpected blessings serve as a powerful reminder of God's intimate involvement in our lives. They show us that He is paying attention to every detail, that He knows our needs, our desires, and even our unspoken prayers. These moments reassure us that we are not alone and that God is actively working in our lives, even when we don't realize it. They strengthen our relationship with Him and reaffirm our faith in His sovereignty and goodness. In the end, unexpected blessings teach us to live with open hands and open hearts. They remind us that while we may not know what the future holds, we can trust the one who holds it. God's blessings often arrive when we least expect them, but they always come at the perfect time, in the perfect way, and for the perfect purpose. They invite us to trust more deeply, live more faithfully, and embrace the beauty of His plan for our lives.